It felt good working out all your anger like that. Yep. Nothing to take the edge off like mercilessly beating the shit out of the nearest and most convenient inanimate object. You're sure those guys won't mind? All you have to do is to explain that you didn't like the smell that thing was giving off. It will all be fine. You're okay. Nothing wrong with any of that. You just needed something to...
Ew, your hands are filthy right now. Keep them away from your face.
The incredibly putrid stench of your hands quickly snaps you back to reality. The reality where you beat up a fish in front of a bunch of midgets. Oh well. Hopefully you still can make amends.
Turn around and make apologies?
You tell them that you're sorry for violently eviscerating their fish, and that even though you aren't a good cook, you'll happily fry another one for them. You say that everyone gets frustrated and it's only natural to feel angry, and that you don't have a problem, and just ignore all of that and pretend it never happened, okay? You get the feeling that you're not helping your case.
Ask where the heck your weapons are. There's no way they won't tell you after a wonderful display like that.
You decide you might as well ask for your weapons back. You're probably not going to get them, though. You certainly didn't need any to tear apart that fish. They look at you and just drop their weapons. What?
Grab the mace and the axe.
The workers all huddle up and begin whispering about something. Probably you. You figure you'll just grab what looks like your mace and somehow your axe, and be done with it. Though, before you can, the smallest chef comes up to you.
Everyone is just as confused as you are right now, and it'll be probably the best to talk everything over.
After the chef and the others captured you, the driver and janitor called out and were talking about how you weren't really a bad guy. They were about to release you, but then...
Yeah, the fish. Either way, everyone's willing to let it slide, but we got to get some facts straight first.
But first, the chef will answer any questions you might have before he briefs you on what is believed to be going on.
How the hell did they get the badass blue weapon?
You ask about the blue weapon.
Nobody has any idea what it is. It's made out of 2 blades attached to a pivot, and it might be fancy scissors or something.
You reach and grab the flamethrower looking thing. Hell yes, this is more like it! Except it's a cardboard cutout. A slightly embarrassed maintenance worker comes forward and says he hadn't gotten around to making an actual one yet.
Suddenly, mosquitoes. Thousands of mosquitoes.
Just one actually. You'll squish it when it stops buzzing around. Kinda annoying, but nothing to mull a fish over.
How did they manage to avoid getting found by the bad ones?
The water thieves already knew that there are a lot of workers were holed up in here. The workers were discovered almost immediately via the security cameras. Knowing that they'll be coming, a few of them hid in the dark and set up an ambush for the water thieves. It didn't work. One of them had a light and saw them immediately. Fortunately, the 2 guys in front were pretty easy to fight, with the 3rd hanging in the back playing it safe. The maintenance worker was able to surprise him with a sledgehammer to the back of his helmet. For a second, it looked like the workers would have been able to take back the Waterworks. They had 3 of the 4 guys out of the court. Surely they could take one more, right?
Well, if they did, you wouldn't be here trying to help them now, would you?
Inquire as to why a large and exceptionally rank fish is in this kitchen at all.
Yeah, the 4th guy pretty much beat out the tar out of everyone. All the people he fought were knocked unconscious after the first blow. Concussions, head trauma, even flat-out amnesia. The general worker can't even remember his own name.
While this was all happening, the American chef was bringing down some food cooked by the Asian chef. Got to eat, right?
It seems he can't stand the smell of fish.
The last guy seems to have a bit of a problem with the smell of cheap fish. Once the American chef got back to the Asian chef with the news, he took out all the fish he had and began cooking it, sending the smell throughout the majority of the offices.
Having the big dangerous guy out of the picture for a few days gave the heavy maintenance worker a chance to build something that might have a chance against the bandits. The heavy maintenance worker is currently doing battle with tubs in the machine bay. Due to the amount of time they've been in there, the fight is pretty much anyone's guess. If the heavy maintenance worker had lost, it would have been a big deal. But now you happen to destroy the very last fish that we had. Tubbs won't take long coming back here if he wins. However, if you happen to show the same gusto that you have shown when you beat the shit out of our fish, the workers are convinced you might be able to hold Tubbs off. If only for long enough to let everyone else escape.
Well, shit. You wrecked their fish and now they want you to go up against someone who's possibly stronger than all the other guys you fought combined. And if you don't, he'll come in here and kill everyone regardless. Karma's a bitch. Sure, there's more fish around here. You're not exactly keen on fighting who you assume is the leader of this whole thing.
Have any of them heard of the Black Goo before, or know anything about it?
The office worker speaks up. He and the other guys have been trying to get their hand on as much of the Black Goo as they can, so that they can figure out what it really is.
The vat that the driver and you brought with the crane should be enough. Just have to send it down through the chute where the crane is docked outside, and the office workers can study it.
They haven't been able to find out much, but what they have found is rather unusual, to say the least.
Instead of being acidic as suspected, the black goo is probably biological. The goop is basically an ooze filled with these black cells. These things aren't too active on their own, but show increasing levels of aggression when grouped together, which they exhibit by consuming every non-metallic object they can get their pseudopods on. When they absorb a significant amount of water, they sort of just explode from the inside out, leaving nothing behind. It's quite weird.
They need larger and larger amounts to see how dangerous this stuff can really become.
Wait, didn't you leave the axe when you fled from Flush? How did it get back here?
Would you believe that the axe kinda just fell out of the sky and struck the maintenance worker while he was scavenging for materials? Occasionally, it gets really windy for a few minutes. Then objects of varying size start falling from the sky, or ceiling, as it were. Nobody really has any idea why.
Stop them for a second. You feel the harpoon start slipping. Grab one end and pull.
You stop them for a second and pick up the harpoon-looking thing. The two pointy bits are definitely loose, but they're firmly affixed to the center. You can move the two blades around their pivot, but other than that, you can't see anything too fancy. The chef was right. These things do resemble scissors or shears. They're certainly very sharp, but why are they connected to the center like that? Oh well. You're going to ask them if they have any more fish.
Look for more fish.
The chef is out of fish.
I have considered getting more. There's plenty of fish that get stuck down in the basement where the water entered the facility and leaves to go to the neighboring cities. I sent some plumbers down there to see if they could get anything, but they haven't returned yet. Might be the good to check up on them.
Kill mosquito.
The mosquito flies slow enough for you to stomp on it. It's a little juicier than you expected. The chef takes no notice.
Unfortunately, the quickest way to the basement is through the machine bay. Even if you weren't interested in fighting Tubbs, you'll still have to sneak by him.
It's not like you obliterated the matter that the fish was composed of. The fish is just in smaller pieces now. In fact, that would probably amplify the fish's smell because of the greater surface area exposed to the air.
You ask why the chef can't just fry the bits of fish. It should give off a stronger smell because they're in smaller chunks, right? The chef is irritated that you are questioning his cuisine.
Yes, while the smell would be stronger, the chunks would also cook faster, leading to a much shorter time for the fish to actually give up the smell in the first place. Not to mention the fact that you pretty much liquefied half the damn thing and spread it over the kitchen floor. For now, it doesn't matter. The place still reeks of fish, and more importantly, so do your hands. should help you get past stops, after of which you can get more fish for us to cook.
Okay, Mr. Science Cook. You'll go out and get another damn fish. Now, before you get your weapons and get moving, is there anything else you need to do? Your legs are starting to get sore from standing in the same spot for so long.
Ask if they have spare helmets of a sturdy and robust nature.
You ask them if they have any spare helmets. They tell you that the only one who ever kept a spare helmet on his person was the heavy maintenance worker, but his person is not here at the moment. This is getting you nowhere. You ask if you could borrow any of their hats instead. A lot of them start shuffling about awkwardly, muttering excuses such as safety reasons and spontaneous chilly head syndrome, and mine got bashed in by a fallen partition. The heavy driver offers his ball cap, but it's not what you're looking for. The bloody driver says nothing and just starts sobbing to himself. Whatever.
Check cupboards for useful items.
You pick a cupboard at random and take a look inside. You find a few miscellaneous cleaning supplies. You take a look in another one. Score!
Take out MP3 player.
Letting out all your anger leaves you incredibly calm afterwards, which puts you in a favorable position on your mood ring. You're pretty relaxed, albeit a little emotionally shaken from previous events. Just gotta keep things under control. But, as usual, you still can't reach your MP3 player. This is pointless and completely defeats the point of having some sort of inventory system in the first place. It's like your ring is saving the MP3 player and your shotgun has some sort of Deus Ex Machina or something. Seriously, does that kind of stuff even happen? You have no idea. Seriously, it's like the most annoying thing ever. When you want to do something fun, the ring is all like, nope, and decides to not give you anything. So in order to use the most common of items, you have to be all stoic about it, which you are pretty much the opposite of, and it's very frustrating. You've even considered clearing all the shit out of the ring and just throwing the damn thing away, but no, you have to be either very happy or very angry. And when you're either of those, you tend to forget things really easily and whoop! Before you know it, you'll have to put it back in that spot on the ring like a complete ass-face. You love this ring because it has the potential to be useful, yet you hate it because it has you by your metaphorical balls and never lets you use whatever you want to use because it's a complete piece of shit.
Invite them to your party.
Invitations everywhere! Workers rescued, X out of 50. Driver is already on guest list. Asian chef, American chef, janitor, general worker, maintenance worker, office worker, driver 2, heavy driver, have been added to the guest list. Nobody's really sure what's going on.
Fly is mutant ooze fly. Inspect.
You go to inspect the guts of the bug you just squished, but they aren't there anymore. Curious. You silently commend the janitor for what you assume was a quick and undetectable clean-up job.
Take a bunch of weapons, listen to the end, go heavy engineer, heavy maintenance worker.
You gather up all your old weapons, plus the harpoon scissor thing. Since you have 4 weapons but only 2 hands, you're just going to hold on to all of them at once for now. You're ready to go. Basically, the gist of everything that has just been said is as follows. You were kidnapped because they thought you were with the bad guys. You got pissed, flipped your shit, and broke their fish. That fish was the only thing keeping the biggest, baddest bad guy from coming in and getting everyone. Because of what you did, you need to find the heavy maintenance worker and either fight that guy or find some more fish. Well then, off you go. Wait, where the hell are you?
Take off the pot for just a moment, you goose.
You peek out from under the pot. There's just a bunch of hallways with unlabeled doors shooting off to different locations. There really isn't any indication as to where you should go, and you can't hear anything ahead of you, so following your ears won't work too well either.
Stick the head back into the room. Ask for directions back to where you were before being knocked out.
You pop back into the kitchen. Most of the other workers have inexplicably wandered off somewhere, while the driver, janitor, heavy driver, maintenance worker, and Asian chef have stayed behind. You ask the Asian chef where you're supposed to be going, because you kinda have no idea where you actually are at the moment, with the bag over the head thing and all that.
Right.
The Asian chef apologizes and suggests that you bring one of the workers with you. The 5 of them have nothing pressing to do at the moment.
Stick the ring in the freezer and retrieve MP3.
You know, that might actually work. You had never really considered taking the ring out before freezing or heating it. It would certainly get the job done, and if the ring was too hot or cold to touch, you could always just bring it back down to its normal temperature without much difficulty. Only problem is that the ring will take time to freeze. Time which you may or may not have. You obviously won't be able to use it while it's in there either.
This is a kitchen, right? If they have ice water and salt on hand, you could chill it down extremely quickly, probably in a few minutes or less. Just put a large amount of salt in ice water. That will lower its freezing point, allowing the water to get cooler than it normally can. This will cool the ring down very quickly. Science.
You suppose there might be a quicker way to freeze a ring, but kitchen science has never been your forte. You'd never find the salt in this place, and even if you did, you'd probably confuse it for sugar or something like that. However, bathroom science is another story. You might be able to distill some ammonia out of those cleaning products you found, after which you could try combining it with some water to initiate an endothermic reaction to flash freeze your mood ring to the appropriate temperature, or theoretically even cooler. But then again, physically manipulating the temperature of your mood ring to such extremes is probably a bad idea. Your mood ring could break or just flat out be rendered useless, not to mention it might injure your hand if you were to put it on. It might even shrink, and you wouldn't be able to put it on at all until it had warmed back up a bit. The repercussions that may or may not come with screwing around with your mood ring could be catastrophic, but you have no way for sure of knowing what will occur. If your ring doesn't break, then you'll have instant access to your shotgun and defibrillator and everything in between. But if it doesn't work, then you could lose everything that you have been storing up until now. There's always a catch. You decide to come to the conclusion that trying to procure the materials to freeze your ring would take too long to accomplish, and therefore waste way too much valuable time which could be spent helping these guys out. Wait, how did you get back out here?
Ask if the worker picked up your weapons since you aren't carrying them, unless they're all clustered in your inventory.
The worker has you covered.
Examine the switch to your left.
You take a look at the switch, or rather the lack of a switch. The handle's missing for some reason. Oh hey, the maintenance worker has it. This is unusually convenient.
Is the goop flammable?
You have no idea, but now would probably be the most ideal time to find out, as you've conveniently got access to all your flammable stuff. You pop the handle back in its place. You should be able to open the door whenever you feel ready. The worker mentions to you that it might be a good idea to get this vat of goop out of here before you open the door. It might get in the way. Get in the way of what?
Can the crane possibly reach this place? If so, try to contact the crane worker, so we can do as he says.
The length of the crane's arm suggests that its reach extends to this entire area. It looks like the driver used it to move the vat into this hatch in the floor before heading down to get you. You guess the hatch opens and the vat goes down there?
Opens the hatch.
The worker opens the hatch and sends most of the goo down below. Some of it falls out of the vat and splatters on the ground.
Take out the flammables.
Okay, time to get this over with while you still can. You just know that you're going to have a terrible flaming mess on your hands if you don't do this properly. Oh well, let's go. You pull out the lit candle, Merlot, whiskey, and... Alright! You manage to catch the Merlot and the lit candle with your hands while also nabbing the matchbook with your mouth. That means that the bottle of whiskey is in a puddle at your feet. Damn it!
Light something on fire.
You direct the candle goo-wards. Upon contact with the flame, the goo sort of shrinks a little bit. It also gains a small sheen. Other than that, not much happens. The maintenance worker looks at the whiskey puddle, recognizes the bottle and asks how you managed to come across one of the other heavy maintenance workers' lunch stashes. You mumble at him.
Keep shrinking and hardening goo, and make some sort of black helmet.
You prod the goo with your candle until it looks like it's finished shrinking. Somehow, it turned into some kind of fragile black marble.
Put the bottle back in the mood ring, and the matchbook. It doesn't really matter if the matchbook falls out into the floor. Sadly, we can't put the candle back too without trouble.
You put the bottle and matchbook back in your mood ring. The candle might make a decent improvised weapon, provided the flame doesn't go out. You put it in the marble by your pile of weapons.
Move on.
Yes. It's finally time to open the door and move on. Time to go in there and help a worker guy fight the terrible murder guy so that you can get all the water back and finally have a decent shower at home. No more distractions. You have absolutely everything you need. You are ready. You are so ready that ready is not a word appropriate enough to describe how ready you are. You are. You are. You know what? You should probably get a second opinion. Maybe if you wander around with your phone out, you'll be able to find a signal and use it to contact the other workers and ask them to make up a word for you. Or you could just ask the maintenance worker, that's good too. You'll have a nice lengthy chat with him, animated in Flash. Not that you know what this means, of course.
I know when to pay the front line, take the don'ts. He's coming out again for a new point. Get your bets down, ladies and gentlemen. 4-4's the point, mark 4. Ace, deuce, scrap, want 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 4. Ace, deuce, ace, deuce, scrap, want 4. Scrap, want 4. Who wants the hot 4? 5 wants 4.
Check me out, y'all.
9 a winner, got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. 9 a winner, got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. 4 and he made it the hard way. Pay the front line, take the hard. You have a shooter and a good one. Coming out for a new point. Get your bets down, ladies and gentlemen. He's a rolling point is 9. Place 9. Place 9. 8 shooting for 9. 5 shooting for 9. He's a rolling point is 9. Place 9. 8 shooting for 9. 5 shooting for 9. Who wants to come? 6 to point.
Check me out, y'all.
9 a winner. Got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. 9 a winner. Got a hot hand. Place your bets, place your bets. 9 a winner. Pay the front line, take the don'ts. He's coming out again for a new point. Get your bets down, ladies and gentlemen. 4-4's the point, mark 4. Ace, deuce, ace, deuce, who wants to come? 6 the point, who wants to come? 6 the point, who wants to come? 6 the point. Play 6.